And welcome to section 3 of the pod that we like to call What's Good in Your Hood. So essentially this part of the pod is where we get to talk a little bit about kind of where we're living, how we feel, kind of just spitballing some ideas about things that are not, like maybe influential to too many external people, but they're very influential to us. And we have a very, very well-traveled individual who has joined us here today. He's done a lot of just traveling around in general, but also lived in a few places. So we know Leslie's born in South Africa. He studied in the UK, and now he is studying and living in the US. So we thought maybe what we could do is we could try and draw a little bit of a contrast between the experiences of living in these places. Maybe we can start off with, since you moved to the US as it's your most recent, trip or your most recent living situation, what have you enjoyed, or what has been your favorite thing about living there, or your most enjoyable thing, and what has been the most challenging thing since you moved there?
Definitely sense the problems, which I think is different from the other places I've lived, but like definitely reminds me of home in that you can see the problems with the race, you can see the problems with politics here, and it's just felt very real. And Atlanta is like one of the major cities here, but it's very unpretentious and genuine, and just has this like real vibe to it. It's also got this really chaotic vibe. Teva, I don't know if you've still been watching the TV show Atlanta. But like season 4 opens with like this looting of a department store, and like it's just this chaos. And then one of the main characters walks in and tries to exchange his air fryer or something, and the shop person is like, "Bro, can't you see what's happening right now?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And that just very much encapsulates Atlanta as a city. It's just this like chaotic, but chilled and unpretentious thing. So I'm really, really enjoying Atlanta as a city. The challenges, like definitely a culture shock, definitely different from where else I've lived. I would say the biggest challenge, like it's not very profound, but like definitely Atlanta is a car city. Like you need a car to do a lot of things here. Currently, I don't have a car, so that's probably the biggest challenge, just getting to places and doing things. But yeah, I've really loved it here.
And what about like if you were to contrast the education system that you have, like that you're part of? So we know that you've been to UCT. I forgot the name of the UK university. You can SOAS, yeah. So you've been to UCT, SOAS. You came back to South Africa. You went to WITS, and now you're at Georgia Tech, if I'm not mistaken. And so those are all very, very different educational philosophies, ideologies, whatever you want to call it. So have you noticed a definite contrast between them? And if so, like what exactly has that been like? What's that experience been like?
Yeah, definitely. I would say like the South African system and the UK system are pretty similar, just in terms of like, I don't even know how to explain it, but like the priority is research, the priority is knowledge. Coming here, the priority is much more about output and about producing commodified sort of like things that you can publish, things that you can present at conferences. Like it's not so much about furthering your own knowledge. But I've enjoyed it. Like it's definitely given me a different angle to work with in terms of my future career and stuff. Also, the US system's different from the UK and the South African system because the PhD program includes coursework as well.
Yeah.
So I've had the chance to take some courses and see how the things work here. Like the university I'm at is also pretty different. it's very America focused, very security focused. It gets a lot of funding from the Department of Defense, which is not something I'm particularly proud of. Um, and like, although Atlanta as a city is very unpretentious and genuine, Georgia Tech feels very pretentious and like trying to be what
Okay.
it's not. Very
Okay.
white,
Okay.
very not Atlanta. So I'm having some problems with the school, but at the same time, I have been able to like carve out the space for myself
Mm.
where my what I bring to the table has been valued,
Oh,
and I
that's
have
great.
been able to work on what I want to work on. So I'm happy, but you know, it's definitely been interesting to see those
Okay.
contrasts.
Good. Oh, that's nice, man. And touching on that, I just wanted to ask about integration. So, Tyler and I have spoken quite candidly about integrating and trying to create some kind of social network in wherever you're staying. And what's that been like? Firstly in the US and then previously in the UK. Did you find it was easy? Kind of what were your tools that you used to build your friendship circles?
Yeah, so I've been really interested in what you guys have been speaking about this before in previous episodes. Like, I would say, I mean, first of all, my situation has been different because I haven't moved with a spouse, you know, someone to be there like with you as you move, as you find a new place together, all these things. Like I've been well, not single man, but I've been by myself on both occasions. Um, but in the UK, when I went for my master's, um, I went by myself. I lived in student housing, and it was definitely very lonely. And I think you guys both spoke about how you experienced the adjustment period of the first few weeks, few months. And I definitely experienced that. It was quite lonely. Most of the activities at the student house were like geared towards the undergrads and like, which I wasn't. So I definitely went through that adjustment period of a few months. And then after those few months, I had a breakup with my girlfriend who was back home. So that was hard because I didn't really have a social circle there at the time. And then winter hit, and Tev, I'm sorry to say this, but those winters are harsh.
I
Like it
can
wasn't so
believe
much
it.
the cold, it was just like the gloominess and the lack of sun. Um, so I had a really hard winter, like both emotionally and just like in terms of the weather. I must say I killed it academically, so that was still fine, and that was something I could hang on
Nice.
to. Um,
Hey.
and then after the winter, it kind of got better. I made a really good friend, and I think that friendship is what definitely helps because it gives you someone to do the social stuff with. It gives you a reason to go out. Um, and I lived in London, which is a great city. Like I really, really love London, but I definitely didn't have the best time, and I didn't take advantage of it while I was there, which is definitely something I regret. But yeah, but then coming to Atlanta was a different story because I actually have a friend who was here before. So I had her and her social circle, and then she put me in touch with a friend of hers who I actually ended up moving with. So I'm at a house instead of student housing,
Mm.
and I've got this
Bit
bit
more
of like
personal.
community, which has definitely made a huge difference. Like it's definitely allowed me to make Atlanta a bit more like home, which I definitely didn't do in London.
Okay. And then what I wanted to ask you as well is since you you obviously um, I mean you've always kind of moved, right? So like there was the first move which is from Johannesburg to Cape Town for UCT where um, let's face it, you Cape Town was a little bit of a second city to you. You'd spent so much time there already. You had a little bit of a social circle already, so it was a little bit different. So I'd rather focus on the next two moves where you moved to the UK, where you just, painted a little bit of a contextual picture for us, and now to the US. But the question that I wanted to ask you is, since it wasn't your first move to the US, right? did you find that the experience of having moved to the UK kind of prepared you for the experience of moving to the US? So are there certain like little knick-knack pieces of information that you had, like, like your cookie jar of like, oh, I went through this when I was in the UK, it helped me in this way when you were in the US? Or are the countries just so different that contextually it didn't matter?
No, I think it has helped. Like, I think I've been very privileged and fortunate to have lived in all these places. And definitely, like, you get a bit of a list in your mind of things you have to do. I would say my move from the UK to the US was notable because, like, I expected my move here to be harder than it was because I was prepared for what I experienced during the UK, where things were very hard and I had to
like you had a tougher skin almost.
Yeah, exactly. So like moving here, expecting it to be like the UK, but then finding out it wasn't really. And I was able to settle in much faster and form this bit of community much faster. Like that definitely felt good because I was expecting the worst, but I got the best, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think just I've been very lucky in having moved so much.
And like communicating
it's
with
felt
your family
comfortable
and
now.
stuff, was that just you kind of, I mean, it's a different time zone, so, but have you, like, what was that? Is it the same now that you're in the US? Like, how has
Yeah,
that looked for you?
it's been pretty much the same. Like I speak to them, I'd say once a week, maybe once every 10 days or so. But yeah, we keep in contact. We have the family group. Like that's been pretty chill. And like
Okay.
as you both know, my family are really close.
Yes.
We've got a really good relationship, but like don't need to communicate about all the things, which is
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of cool. I'd also say, yeah, I felt more independent here. Like this is my move. This is what I decided. Like financially, I'm a bit more independent. So yeah, it's definitely my move here has felt like a new chapter as opposed to something else. I don't know.
It's
Nice.
really cool, man. And I wanted to find out. I know you go back home every now and again, and I wanted to know, one, has your perspective on SA changed, in whichever regard that is, and then secondly, having seen like or having attained a world view, so everything outside of SA, you've now got a European perspective, because you also holidayed in Europe. I know you've traveled quite extensively there as well as now living in the US. Do you see yourself settling in either the US, Europe, or do you think you'll end up back in SA? This might already also just be me jumping the gun, but have you
No,
given that some thought, like where you'd like to end up long term?
So at the time of recording on this, the 30th of October, 2023, my plan is still definitely to move back to SA. That's definitely where I see myself. It's where I see my work taking me for various reasons. But I'm very much open to that changing. I
Okay.
don't know how it will yet. I don't know why it will, but I'm definitely leaving myself openness to things changing. I think before I came here, like the plan was never to settle here. And now I kind of see a bit of opening for how that could maybe potentially one day be a possibility. But I'm also very fortunate and privileged because I've got a British passport. So going to Britain is still an option for me. And, settling here is becoming more of an option for me, but still going back to SA is what I want to be doing, and what I'll probably do. And yeah, I was back home in June, July, and I loved it. Like I had a great time. The load shedding stuff was horrible, and
I'll know soon enough. Yeah.
Putin's got your back. I wouldn't say my perspective on South Africa has changed. Like what I noticed was really interesting because, like, reading stuff from here about South Africa kind of gives you a different impression of South Africa than when you're there. Like things didn't feel that bad when you were there, even though I know things were bad. But like, I think from the outside, kicking it is very different from actually being there. And even when I was in South Africa, like seeing what was happening here also looked really bad. And then I got back here and, you know, things were okay. So yeah, I wouldn't say my plan is to like help South Africa. That's definitely not what I see myself as. But I see my future in South Africa at the time of recording.
Okay. Oh, that's really, really cool. For me, I think I can kind of mirror what you're saying in terms of like when you're there, it doesn't feel as bad as how it seems, and how bad, again, like you said, it is quite bad. I'm not trying to say that the situation is like easy or not easy or whatever. I'm not trying to like take away from or add to, but I definitely noticed when I was there, it was the same kind of thing. I don't know if it's because of South Africans, that lovely sort of sense of Ubuntu, which we've spoken about several times, that general resilience, the smile on people's face. I don't know what it is, but when you're there and you're in it, although load shedding is bad, there's no other way of looking at it. But when you're there, it doesn't feel as bad as it looks from the outside. And I do agree with that. And the fact that you mentioned America is also very, very interesting in the same breath of air, because, you know, a lot of people have the perspective of America, like looking from the outside of like, you just see school shootings. That's the stuff that makes the news, right? Like school shootings, like very, very hectic racist stories, this almost over sense of patriotism, this exerting sense of patriotism, arrogance, ignorance. That's kind of the way what you see from the outside. And my short time in America, I don't even really count as being there, especially because of where I was in Hollywood. But I would be very, very interested, and it's actually cool that you say that, because I think that just can't be the simple truth of it, right? It can't just be all those bad things, right? It can't just be like that. So yeah, that's super enlightening. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed that. It's so nice to get kind of the platform or at an occasion where you can be this open, this vulnerable with your friends and learn so much about someone that you may think you know so much about, but there's so many like Tyler said, nuggets that you pick up from conversations like this, and I think that's a really great place to round it off. Yep. Sure, I thoroughly enjoyed having you on, Les.
Big fun, man.
Man, you've given us the full you've given us the full roundup about who you are as a person, kind of the direction that you're headed in terms of your career, but also painting a great picture of who you are as a person. And thank you so much for expressing all of that on this platform.
And
for
please do come back.
Joined us, we thank you yet again for giving us your time, your ears, your eyes. A reminder on where you can find us. It is on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, and on our website. You can catch all of our links on our website, and we will be seeing you at the next one. We did say that you can look forward to a lot more of these special episodes where we're getting insights from experts, and you get to see kind of the great social circle that we have. People like our wives, and it goes on and on and on and on. So from me, I should say thank you. This was a really great episode to be a part of.
Thank you guys so much. I had a great time. Just felt like chatting to friends.
Yeah, dope one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. And Les, please, we would love it if you join us again. We'll have a follow-up. We'll definitely want to do something like this again, if you're good to do it again.
I would be honored. I've been pushing for this for ages, so I have to come back.
We wanted to build a little bit of a fan base. We wanted to really showcase you, not just in the beginning. We wanted people to see the significance of having you.
And I think that can be seen, yeah. So thanks again, ladies. We can definitely do this soon. Thank you again, everybody. We will catch you next week, same time, same place. Adios.
Bye-bye.